Welcome to This Explainer. If you're the kind of person who loves geeking out over how our digital world is basically getting completely rewired, well, we've got something super fascinating today. We're looking at a total transformation in how data is owned, validated, and ultimately monetized. Specifically, we're exploring the evolution of community data sovereignty, and we're looking at it through the lens of the Codatta Roadmap. For decades, the digital economy has operated on this unspoken rule. You create the data, and someone else profits from it. But what happens when that dynamic completely flips? What happens when the community takes back the control? That's the exact journey we're tracking today, mapping out a 4-year evolution from a foundational concept into a completely new digital economy. Okay, let's dive right into this. What if your knowledge, the stuff you just naturally know, actually became a paid asset? It sounds kind of philosophical, right? But honestly, this is absolutely the core problem of the modern AI era. Right now, these massive AI systems are trained on billions of data points provided by human intelligence, your intelligence, and it's entirely uncompensated. This isn't just a privacy issue, it's pure economics. The current system relies on a pipeline where the value only flows in one direction. Codatta set out to challenge that exact premise. They want to rewire the entire structure so that the people actually generating the intelligence are the ones holding the asset. To see how they plan to pull this off, we're going to look at the Codatta timeline, which is broken down into 4 evolutionary eras. We've got 2023, building the pipeline. 2024 focuses on knowledge at scale. 2025 brings protocol decentralization. And finally, 2026 and beyond leads to data acidification. All right, kicking things off with Phase 1, 2023, building the pipeline. Look, every grand vision needs a proving ground, right? You can't just flip a switch and instantly decentralize the world's data. You need a spark. You need to prove that community-driven data can not only be collected, but that it can be incredibly accurate and deeply valuable in high-stakes environments. So they didn't start with just broad general knowledge. They started where data accuracy is literally a matter of financial security. They kicked things off with the microscope protocol and forged massive partnerships with industry heavyweights like Coinbase. This wasn't just some theoretical whiteboard exercise. This early community-driven pipeline was put to work immediately, powering real-time risk data sharing through the Crypto Defenders Alliance. They built a system where the community could literally identify and flag risks from day one. And guys, when we talk about this initial pipeline, we are definitely not talking about a cute little pilot program. Over 300 million, that is the massive scale of crypto addresses they had labeled right out of the gate. It's a staggering number, honestly, and it absolutely proves the immense power of a community-driven approach. Think about it. When you incentivize a network to collaborate, the volume of intelligence they can process just completely blows centralized, siloed teams out of the water. And that volume gets even crazier when we look at the total output. 560 million. That is the number of initial annotations Codatta managed in 2023 alone. Just take a second to visualize that sheer volume of data. Every single one of those 560 million annotations is a distinct piece of human intelligence, captured, categorized, and fed straight into the pipeline to make the broader ecosystem safer and more transparent. And this brilliantly illustrates that this wasn't just a giant mountain of random noise. It was highly structured intelligence. Out of those annotations, they pinpointed 46 million high-risk addresses. The data was meticulously organized across 95 different categories, spanning 35 supported networks. I mean, that level of extreme granularity is exactly why top-tier partners trusted this pipeline. Codatta proved the engine worked. Now, they just needed to step on the gas. Which brings us to Phase 2, 2024, knowledge at global scale. So with the foundation locked in, the mission naturally shifted. It was no longer just about crypto risk. It was about totally expanding the horizon. The community had proven what it could do, so now it was time to see if that willingness to participate could scale up to a truly global level. 2024 was all about making this data actually actionable. They introduced advanced workflows to take raw community intelligence and turn it straight into real-world apps. And this is a huge transition. It's the exact moment where data stops being just a dusty repository of facts and transforms into fuel for applications that drive actual revenue, massive reach, and tangible results. This is where community data really starts flexing its commercial viability. Now, to get that commercial viability, you obviously need people. By 2024, Codatta hit an incredibly impressive milestone, surpassing 300,000 active global contributors. Think about the human element behind that number for a second. Over 300,000 real individuals all around the world actively participating, validating, and feeding intel into the network. That's not just a user base, that is an active, functioning global workforce of data sovereigns. And that translates into unstoppable momentum. Just look at these 2024 metrics. We're talking over 5 million total submissions, resulting in more than 2 million fully validated entries. But the geographical and domain reach is what's really wild here. We're looking at coverage in over 200 countries, touching on more than 100 different domain frontiers. In literally 1 year, the network expanded from a specialized security tool into a massive multi-domain global knowledge engine. Moving right along to Phase 3, 2025, Protocol Decentralization. Now, what's really interesting here is that this phase is the true tipping point. Up until now, Codatta built the pipeline and managed the scale. But the ultimate promise of data sovereignty means no single entity can hold the keys, right? So Codatta transitions from a centralized project into a fully decentralized, community-owned protocol. And when you decentralize and get those incentives properly aligned, boom, explosive exponential growth, bolstered by top-tier partners, contributors, absolutely skyrocket from 300,000 in 2024 to over 1 million in 2025. And the validated data, it doesn't just grow, it multiplies, leaping from 2 million to over 10 million validated entries. This is the literal hallmark of a network effect catching fire. But you're probably wondering, how on earth do you manage 1 million contributors and 10 million validated data points without a centralized boss? Well, you do it through the sovereignty tech triad. This specific technical framework is what makes it all possible. First, you have the launch of the core asset, the XNY token, which locks in the economic incentives. Second, DID, or decentralized identity, goes live, ensuring every single contributor has a secure, self-owned identity on the network. And third, provenance goes live, which means the origin and history of every single piece of data is immutably tracked and verified. Let's actually step back from the tech jargon for a second, because I want to focus on what this actually means for you. By putting the token, decentralized identity, and provenance into play, Codatta has fully implemented the core framework for true data sovereignty. This exact triad is the engine guaranteeing your data ownership. It means you can prove who you are, prove exactly what data you provided, and securely get paid for the value your data creates. The infrastructure is totally complete. Which brings us to the final horizon. Phase 4, 2026 and beyond, data assetification. This right here is where all that building, scaling, and decentralization culminates into a massive payoff that fundamentally rewires the digital economy. Let's actually pin down what this term means, because it's the revolutionary end state we've been building toward. Data assetification is the evolution where your knowledge officially becomes an asset. It allows you, the contributor, to actually earn royalties as your data continuously powers real-world applications. Imagine writing a hit song and getting a check every single time it plays on the radio. Data assetification brings that exact same royalty model to your human intelligence and your digital contributions. So the crucial point is how these new mechanics actually work in practice. Let's walk through it step by step. Step 1, the community. You guys provide and validate high-quality data. Step 2, AI teams, who are practically begging for clean, accurate, provenance-backed training data, utilize this intelligence, and they pay into the system as their AI models grow and succeed. Step 3, that value flows right back to the source. The contributors earn royalty-based payments. It's a perfect, closed-loop economy where AI actually pays for the human intelligence it relies on. Wow, okay, we've covered a massive journey in this explainer today. We went from a 2023 pipeline validating crypto risks all the way to a 2026 future where your everyday knowledge is a literal royalty-generating asset. The crazy part? The infrastructure for data sovereignty isn't just some distant sci-fi dream. According to this roadmap, it is being built right now. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought to chew on. As this new digital economy takes shape, how will you participate in a world where AI teams pay for human intelligence as they grow? It's a brand new frontier, and your data is the key. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep learning.